Those who are a regular follower of my channel would know that I am easily one of the biggest fans of the Monsterverse franchise imaginable. And there is no denying the fact that after the release of Godzilla Kong: The New Empire, it is currently one of the most commercially successful live-action cinematic universes. However, there is one major problem with this rapidly growing franchise that could prove to be really detrimental and disastrous for the possibility of it expanding into a major interconnected cinematic universe in the upcoming future. The Monsterverse, although quite successful commercially according to me, is slowly becoming synonymous to the term wasted potential. This problem came into my notice after watching 2019's King of the Monsters, and ever since then, Legendary Pictures seem to have carried on with the same, and unfortunately, it seems like the problem is now even more prominent than ever before. First of all, let me tell you that as a fan of the Showa era of kaiju movies, King of the Monsters, for me, is the absolute best modern-day monster movie by a pretty long shot. The movie is criminally underrated and one of the biggest misunderstood masterpieces ever created. I am not going to talk about how good this movie really is and why it is so great, because that is honestly going to take a very, very long time. However, I am going to talk about a certain aspect of the movie which is going to perfectly explain the problem and the point I am trying to make in this video. This hauntingly beautiful three-headed golden dragon known as King Ghidorah, also called Monster Zero, was the main antagonist, the bad guy in King of the Monsters. In fact, Godzilla's and King Ghidorah's rivalry was the core of the movie's storyline. The two Alpha Titans fought 3 times during the course of the movie to achieve the title of the one true King of the Monsters, which I personally believe are the 3 best monster battles in the entire history of cinema. However, what really hurt me as a fan the most was the ending of the movie, where I had to witness our very own Big G Man in his thermonuclear avatar literally ripping apart Monster Zero and ultimately vaporizing him using his iconic atomic breath. I mean, anyone with even half a brain who had followed the Toho kaiju movies from the 90s would know how iconic and legendary this monster really is. He did not deserve to die this quickly, and that too in such a brutal manner under any given circumstance. That is simply criminal and a major disrespect to every true kaiju fan who have grown up watching and adoring these larger-than-life titans. For your information, this guy is Godzilla's biggest arch nemesis in a way the Joker is to the Batman or Lex Luthor is to Superman. I mean, just look at the outrage towards the most recent Joker sequel where the Clown Prince of Crime was clearly disrespected. If you leave out some of the toxic elements, this is something which I actually like about DC fans in general, which is their passion and love for the characters. I really wish if we fans of the Monsterverse had shown a similar level of love for some of the other monsters, apart from just Godzilla and King Kong. And that is the exact reason why it seems like the Monsterverse has learned absolutely nothing. Legendary Pictures seem to be quite disciplined and hell-bent on maintaining their tradition of killing off some of their coolest and beautiful monsters. You need to look no further than the most recent addition to the franchise, Godzilla Kong: The New Empire, where we unfortunately had to witness 2 of these amazing serpent kaijus, Tiamat and Drowned Viper, brutally go down at the hands of the Big G and Kong. And how can we forget Titansilla, who also suffered one of the most gruesome deaths imaginable in the first half of the movie. This tradition is absolutely detrimental to the possibility of the Monsterverse turning into a major, interconnected, live-action, cinematic universe, to be very honest. Imagine the state of the MCU right now if it somehow killed off Loki in the first Avengers movie, or even Thanos in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Those who have had the chance to read the comic book Godzilla Dominion would understand and appreciate how truly iconic and amazing Titan Tiamat really is. Unfortunately, she was treated as nothing more than an instrument which could be used to power up Godzilla in order to fight Scar King and Shimo. While I like Godzilla's new pink design with the upgraded new dorsal plates, he actually did not even need the power-up, as he barely used his atomic breath during the course of the entire final battle, which makes Tiamat's death all the more painful and unnecessary. With such an amazing design, backstory, and powers, she easily and definitely had the potential to carry an entire movie on her own. And I can also say the exact same thing for Mr. Drowned Viper over here, who got ripped apart like a freaking spaghetti by Kong. At least, Drowned Viper was able to launch some sort of a counterattack against Kong, unlike Titan Tiamat. And that is exactly the reason why I do not wish to see Destoroyah being introduced anytime soon, because I am afraid I am not going to be able to withstand a similar kind of disrespectful treatment for this iconic kaiju. Even if we look at it from a commercial perspective, despite the last 2 movies turning out to be commercially successful, things still seem to be kind of shaky for the Monsterverse, and one bad movie at this point can totally ruin the financial stability of this franchise. Let me inform you that in the Showa Heisei timeline, Destoroyah had to wait as long as 40 years to develop into a kaiju after the oxygen destroyer was hit in the first Godzilla movie of 1954. So I think the Monsterverse at the moment should look to develop more original self-made monsters rather than relying on Toho characters. I mean, we all love the OGs like Ghidorah, Mothra, and Destoroyah, but I think the Monsterverse can do way more with its own monsters rather than being an American redesign like we saw with the Mutos, and more recently with Titan Shimo, who was arguably one of the best parts of Godzilla x Kong. This would not only help the franchise to expand, but also give it enough time to set the stage for eventually introducing Destoroyah. So in conclusion, I would say that holding Destoroyah back until they establish a proper storyline to include him is the perfect option. The Monsterverse is undeniably in a transition period right now, where the focus is less on the big G and have been more towards Kong, especially during the last two movies. In order to introduce Godzilla's biggest arch nemesis, you first need to establish and develop the big G's story arc, which is what I expect the franchise to do over the next few upcoming projects. Having said that, I believe the franchise needs to start building up his eventual introduction right from the very next movie. The best way to start the process is by incorporating a post-credit scene in the next movie, which starts out with the remnants of Isla de Mara, the ocean where the oxygen destroyer was detonated in Godzilla King of the Monsters. As the music slowly gets suspenseful, the camera pans down towards the depths of the ocean, where we can see the skeletal remains of multiple fishes lying around. We hear ominous rumbling being uttered out by something, and then imagine the reaction of fans as the scene cuts to black. And after that, we hear a terrifying spine-chilling roar of a demonic entity from the depths of the ocean. I literally have goosebumps just by envisioning this whole sequence in my mind. Another really cool thing to do would be to actually modify and retcon Destoroyah's origins in order to make this version of the character even more dark and terrifying in comparison to its Toho counterpart. If you remember, in King of the Monsters, Godzilla was not the only one to be hit by the oxygen destroyer. It hit Monster Zero, better known as King Ghidorah, as well, which gives rise to a very interesting possibility. We can have this version of Destoroyah as an amalgamation of molecular particles of both Godzilla as well as Ghidorah. In other words, Monsterverse Destoroyah would be like a mix of Godzilla and Ghidorah, the two most powerful titans, which would be an absolutely terrifying yet awesome sight to witness for fans. So that is all I have to share in this video. Let me know your thoughts regarding the stuff that I discussed in the video, and if you enjoyed watching, please do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.